The sky crackled with an otherworldly energy, casting an eerie glow over the sprawling metropolis of New Seattle. High above, an ominous fleet of black ships blotted out the sun, their sleek, angular forms slicing through the heavens with predatory grace. Sirens blared across the cityscape, a cacophony of panic that reverberated through the narrow streets and high-rise towers. Captain Alex Rivera stood at the command center's panoramic viewport, their gaze fixed on the approaching doom. The normally tranquil sky was now a menacing expanse of darkness, the alien fleet's ships arranged in a perfect, foreboding formation. Beside them, Lieutenant Zara Patel, her brow furrowed in concentration, rapidly analyzed incoming data on her holographic console. "Captain, we've got a problem." Zara's voice broke through the din of the command center. Her fingers danced across the controls, bringing up a series of flashing alerts. "The Black Fleet's communication systems are scrambling our signals. We can't get through to the outer defense stations." Alex's jaw tightened. "They're not just here to intimidate. They want us disoriented and vulnerable." Their voice was steady but carried an edge of urgency. "What's their demand?" Zara's eyes flickered over the data. "They've issued a surrender ultimatum. We have 15 minutes to comply or they'll initiate full-scale bombardment." The room fell silent, the gravity of the situation settling heavily on everyone's shoulders. Alex turned to face the gathered officers, their expression resolute. "We're not surrendering. This city, this planet, it's our home, and we will fight for it." A chorus of agreement followed, the officers nodding in determined unison. The tension in the room was palpable as they scrambled to implement defensive measures. Alex's mind raced, trying to formulate a plan that could outwit the superior technology of the Black Fleet. Outside, the sky shimmered with bursts of energy as the alien ships began their preliminary assault, targeting key infrastructure across the city. Sparks flew from exploding power stations, and thick, black smoke began to billow into the atmosphere. "Captain?" Zara's voice cut through the chaos. "I've got a lead on their signal source. If we can disrupt their communications, we might be able to buy ourselves some time." Alex's eyes met Zara's, a flicker of hope igniting amidst the despair. "Do it. And get me a direct line to our field commanders. We need to mobilize every unit." As Zara coordinated the countermeasures, Alex moved to a central holographic table where a map of the city and surrounding area was projected. They tapped into the live feed from the defense drones, seeing firsthand the destruction wreaked by the Black Fleet's relentless barrage. A sharp explosion rocked the command center, causing everyone to brace themselves. Debris rained down, and a brief power outage plunged the room into darkness before emergency lights flickered to life. Alex gritted their teeth, glaring at the darkened skyline. "This is just the beginning. We need to show them that Earth isn't an easy target." The tension mounted as the clock ticked down. The alien ships loomed ever closer, their dark silhouettes stark against the smoldering remains of the city. Alex's mind raced with strategies, weighing the risks of each possible counterattack. Their hands clenched into fists, a silent vow to protect their home at all costs. The final moments before the Black Fleet's ultimatum expired felt like an eternity. The fate of New Seattle, and potentially the entire planet, hung precariously in the balance. "Prepare for the worst," Alex commanded, their voice a steely resolve. "And let's show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The command center braced itself as the Black Fleet's ships prepared for their next move. Outside, the darkened sky pulsed with the promise of devastation. The first chapter of Earth's desperate fight for survival was only beginning. As dawn's first light filtered through the smudged windows of the command center, New Seattle was a city caught between its last breath and its fierce determination. The Black Fleet's ships remained a constant, menacing presence, their dark hulls shifting in the sky like predatory shadows. Explosions still echoed in the distance, and the stench of smoke clung to the air, an ever-present reminder of the destruction wrought upon the city. Captain Alex Rivera paced the command center, their face set in grim lines of concentration. The room, now illuminated by the harsh glow of tactical screens, was abuzz with activity. Officers and soldiers moved with focused urgency, preparing for the expected counterattack. Zara Patel, Alex's ever-reliable second-in-command, worked at her console, her fingers flying over the controls as she struggled to keep the defense systems online. "Captain, I've managed to stabilize the outer defense grids temporarily," Zara said, her voice tight with strain. "But we're still blind to their next move. We need to take the initiative before they can hit us again." Alex nodded, their mind racing through the limited options available. "What about the intel we gathered from the flagship? Can we use it to disrupt their communications?" Zara's eyes met Alex's with a flicker of hope. "If we can get a signal to our satellite relay, we might be able to introduce a virus into their network. It's risky, but it's our best shot." "Do it," Alex ordered, a steely resolve in their voice. "We can't afford to wait for them to make the next move." As Zara initiated the signal relay, Alex turned their attention to the battlefield outside. The once thriving cityscape was now a chaotic tableau of fire and rubble. Every explosion, every tremor that shook the ground, underscored the gravity of their situation. A sudden, sharp beep from Zara's console interrupted Alex's thoughts. "Captain, we've got incoming. It looks like they're concentrating their fire on our central power grid." Alex's eyes narrowed. "They're trying to cripple us further. Get our emergency response teams to the grid. We need to reroute power and keep our defenses functional." Zara's hands moved deftly, coordinating with the response teams and rerouting power through secondary channels. Alex, meanwhile, tried to piece together their strategy. They knew the city's survival depended on more than just holding out. They needed to strike back effectively. "Captain," one of the officers called out, their voice urgent. "We've intercepted a transmission from the Black Fleet. It's encrypted, but it seems to be orders for a final assault." Alex's heart sank. "They're preparing for a full-scale invasion. We need to prepare our forces for a coordinated counterattack. Mobilize every unit and prepare for defensive and offensive maneuvers." The command center fell into a frenzied rhythm as orders were issued and executed. Zara's voice was a steady beacon amidst the chaos. "Captain, the virus is almost ready. I'm going to upload it to the satellite relay now." "Do it," Alex replied, their gaze fixed on the tactical display. They watched as the city's defense systems began to stabilize, thanks to Zara's efforts. For a brief moment, it seemed that the tide might turn in their favor. But then, another tremor shook the command center, this one more severe. The lights flickered, and the screens momentarily went dark. The room erupted into chaos as emergency systems kicked in. "Status report," Alex barked. Zara's voice was strained but clear. "The Black Fleet's flagship has initiated a direct energy beam towards our central command. It's overwhelming our defenses." Alex's face hardened. "They're going for the kill. We need to pull back our forces and reinforce the central command. Prepare for a desperate fight." The atmosphere in the command center was one of steely determination. Alex, Zara, and their team braced themselves for the impending assault, knowing that their next actions would determine the fate of New Seattle. Outside, the Black Fleet's ships seemed to gather their dark strength, preparing for their final, devastating push. The city's defenders, now fully mobilized, readied themselves for the onslaught. The tension was a palpable force, as every individual understood that they were on the brink of a critical battle. As the countdown to the final assault began, Alex's thoughts were a tumult of strategy and resolve. The future of their city, their planet, rested on their ability to turn the tide against a seemingly unstoppable enemy. The first chapter of their fight had been just the beginning. Now, they faced the true test of their courage and resourcefulness. The darkened sky over New Seattle was a canvas of chaos, with the Black Fleet's ships forming a menacing halo above the beleaguered city. The energy beam from the flagship continued its relentless assault, searing through the air with blistering intensity. The once bustling metropolis was now a battleground, every corner echoing with the sounds of conflict and destruction. Inside the command center, Captain Alex Rivera's eyes were locked on the holographic map that displayed a grim tableau of the city's defenses. The map was studded with red alerts and blinking warnings, a stark contrast to the blue dots of their remaining operational units. Zara Patel stood beside Alex, her face illuminated by the harsh light of her console, which flickered intermittently due to the ongoing power surges. "Captain, we're losing ground at the eastern perimeter," Zara reported, her voice strained but determined. "Our forces there are overwhelmed. We need to redirect reinforcements." Alex's jaw tightened as they scanned the tactical display. "Redirect all available units to the eastern front. We're going to hit them with everything we've got. We need to create a diversion." As Zara relayed the orders, Alex turned to Major Tom Harris, their lead strategist. "Tom, what's our status on the energy shield?" Major Harris, a seasoned veteran with a grizzled demeanor, looked up from his analysis. "The shield's holding for now, but it's taking a massive strain. We're about 30 minutes from a critical failure if we can't reroute more power." Alex's gaze shifted back to the battlefield outside. The Black Fleet's ships were moving with ruthless precision, their coordinated attacks designed to cripple the city's defenses. "We need a plan to make them rethink their approach. Can we deploy the EMP drones?" Tom nodded. "We've got a squad ready. They can disable the enemy's energy systems temporarily, but we'll need to ensure their deployment is synchronized with our counterattack." "Do it," Alex commanded. "And make sure our ground troops are ready to capitalize on any openings." The command center buzzed with activity as the EMP drones were prepared for launch. Zara continued her frantic work, her eyes darting between her console and the tactical displays. The strain was evident in her posture, but her resolve was unshakable. Outside, the eastern perimeter was a scene of intense combat. Soldiers, their faces smeared with grime and sweat, fought valiantly against the onslaught of alien forces. The sky above was illuminated by the fiery streaks of energy beams and the explosive bursts of weaponry. Despite the chaos, the human defenders held their ground, determined not to let their city fall without a fight. As the EMP drones were launched, a brief flicker of hope emerged. The alien ships momentarily faltered, their energy systems disrupted by the pulse emitted from the drones. For a few precious seconds, the Black Fleet's attack slowed, and a glimmer of respite fell over the city. "Now's our chance!" Alex shouted, rallying their team. "Move out! We need to push them back while they're vulnerable." The human forces surged forward, launching a coordinated counterattack. The streets, once filled with despair, now echoed with the sounds of renewed resistance. Alex, Zara, and Tom moved alongside their troops, their presence a beacon of leadership in the midst of the chaos. Zara, her face set in determination, guided the troops with tactical precision. "Keep pushing! We've got them on the ropes. Don't let up!" The counteroffensive was met with fierce resistance from the Black Fleet, who quickly adapted to the changing dynamics of the battle. The alien forces regrouped and launched a counterattack, their superior technology making every advance a hard-fought gain. Amidst the tumult, Alex spotted a familiar face amidst the chaos: Lieutenant Jenna Carter, one of their most skilled field operatives. Jenna was engaged in a fierce skirmish with a group of alien soldiers, her agility and precision a stark contrast to the brute force of her enemies. "Lieutenant Carter!" Alex called out over the din. "We need to secure the western flank. Can you handle that?" Jenna's eyes met Alex's with a determined nod. "On it, Captain. We'll hold the line." As Jenna and her squad moved to reinforce the western flank, Alex's attention was drawn back to the central command. The energy shield's readings were worsening, and the power reserves were critically low. The pressure was mounting, and every decision Alex made carried the weight of the city's survival. "Captain, we're detecting a new energy signature from the flagship," Zara announced, her voice tense. "It looks like they're preparing a final, concentrated attack." Alex's heart raced. "We need to prepare for the worst. Mobilize our last reserves and initiate emergency protocols." The command center was a hive of frantic activity as the final preparations were made. Outside, the battlefield reached a fever pitch, the air thick with smoke and the stench of ozone. The Black Fleet's flagship loomed ominously, its energy signature growing stronger as it prepared to unleash its ultimate assault. In the heart of the chaos, Alex stood resolute. The fate of New Seattle was on a knife's edge, and every second counted. The city's defenders were fighting with everything they had, their courage and resilience shining through the darkness. The stage was set for a climactic confrontation, where every ounce of strength and strategy would be tested to its limits. The twilight sky above New Seattle glowed with the embers of conflict. The Black Fleet's flagship, a towering behemoth of alien engineering, hung like a dark cloud over the city, its energy core pulsating ominously. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burning debris, and the once vibrant city was now a crumbling ruin of desperate resistance. In the heart of the command center, Captain Alex Rivera stood with grim determination. The room, illuminated by the eerie blue light of holographic displays, was a whirlwind of activity. Zara Patel was coordinating with field units, her face a mask of steely resolve. Major Tom Harris was poring over the energy shield status, his brow furrowed with concern. "Captain," Zara said, her voice taut with urgency. "We've got a problem. The flagship is preparing a concentrated energy burst. If it's not stopped, it'll breach our defenses completely." Alex nodded, steeling himself for what lay ahead. "We've exhausted every conventional tactic. What's our status on the experimental defense system?" Tom looked up from his console, his expression a mix of hope and skepticism. "It's operational but untested in real combat. We've only had simulations so far. If it fails, it could backfire and cause massive damage to the city." "We don't have a choice," Alex said. "Deploy it. We need to make every effort to hold them off." Outside, the city's defenders were locked in a fierce battle, their resolve unwavering despite the overwhelming odds. The EMP drones had given them a brief respite, but now the Black Fleet was regrouping, its ships forming a deadly formation around their flagship. The energy burst was imminent. Lieutenant Jenna Carter, commanding the western flank, barked orders to her squad, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Form defensive lines. We need to hold them back as long as possible. We can't afford to lose this sector." The soldiers moved with practiced precision, their efforts a testament to their unwavering commitment. The battle raged on, the skies illuminated by streaks of energy and explosive bursts. The Black Fleet's ships, sleek and menacing, continued their relentless assault, their energy beams carving through the air. In the command center, Zara activated the experimental defense system. A series of glowing runes and intricate symbols appeared on the central display. "System online. Preparing to engage." The tension was palpable as the defense system powered up. The room was filled with the hum of machinery and the soft glow of energy readings. Alex and Tom watched with bated breath as the system's core began to emit a resonant pulse, aimed at intercepting the flagship's energy burst. Outside, the flagship's energy core flared brightly, signaling the imminent release of its devastating attack. The pulse from the experimental system shot skyward, a vibrant stream of energy arcing through the darkened sky. For a moment, the city held its breath. The energy burst collided with the defensive pulse in a brilliant explosion of light. The shockwave rippled across the battlefield, and the Black Fleet's ships momentarily faltered. The flagship's energy core flickered, its attack disrupted but not entirely thwarted. "Direct hit!" Zara shouted, her eyes wide with relief. "The flagship's energy core is destabilizing." Alex's heart raced as he saw the opportunity. "Push forward! This is our chance to drive them back." The defenders, reinvigorated by the success of the experimental system, launched a renewed offensive. The Black Fleet's ships, now struggling to maintain their cohesion, were subjected to a fierce barrage from the ground forces. The tide of battle began to shift. Lieutenant Carter, her squad still holding the western flank, saw the shift in momentum. "We've got them on the run! Keep the pressure on!" The battle raged with newfound intensity as human forces pressed their advantage. The Black Fleet's ships, their energy core sputtering and weakening, began to retreat. The flagship, though still formidable, was struggling to maintain its position. In the command center, Tom monitored the flagship's energy readings. "Captain, the flagship's core is critical. It's only a matter of time before it collapses." Alex nodded, his focus unyielding. "Keep the pressure on until we're certain." We can't afford to let them regroup. As the Black Fleet's ships withdrew, the energy core of the flagship began to emit erratic pulses. The once imposing vessel now looked vulnerable, its advanced systems failing under the relentless assault. The city's defenders, their morale bolstered by their hard-fought victory, continued their push. In the midst of the chaos, Zara looked at Alex, her eyes reflecting a mix of exhaustion and triumph. "We did it, Captain! They're retreating." Alex exhaled, a weary smile crossing his face. "Not yet. We need to ensure they don't regroup and come back stronger." The flagship's energy core finally reached a critical state, and with a thunderous explosion, it erupted into a cascade of light and debris. The remaining Black Fleet ships, seeing their command vessel destroyed, retreated in disarray. The battlefield, now shrouded in the aftermath of victory, was a scene of both relief and exhaustion. The city's defenders, though battered and weary, had held the line against an overwhelming foe. The skies, once darkened by the threat of annihilation, were now clearing, revealing the first hints of dawn. As Alex surveyed the wreckage of the battlefield, he knew the fight had been won but not without cost. The city lay in ruins, but its spirit remained unbroken. The defenders, led by their resilient leaders, had faced the ultimate test and emerged victorious. In the quiet aftermath, Alex and his team gathered amidst the debris, their faces marked by both triumph and the weight of the struggle. The battle for New Seattle had ended, but the journey ahead would be one of rebuilding and recovery. The city's defenders had proven their mettle, and their legacy of courage would be remembered in the annals of history.